I actually used to watch that Roseanne TV program when I was younger. I think I used to like it. I used to enjoy it. I used to think it was funny, but there was also like that Married with Children as well that I used to watch. I think I used to probably find Married with Children a little bit more funnier. But I did actually like Roseanne, the program. Later on, though, I've come to realise that I don't think that program was good in the way that I don't think The Simpsons is good. And, it's hard to say this without upsetting anyone, really, but the establishments and the corporate elites' success and our demise is really championed by those programs. Kind of makes it okay and all right, and seems to advocate it in a way, not necessarily the best lifestyles. So maybe it's difficult to talk about it, but I mean, try and put it on a positive note. What she just said, I mean, when she was talking, then when she speaks,
and just repressive.
I do think she's quite cool, actually. Her accent and her voice kind of like, it came back into my memory from when I used to watch it. The thing is, I haven't actually seen Roseanne for quite a long time. Probably since I used to watch TV when I was younger. And every time I see that Scott Ritter guy, it keeps making me think of that John Goodman. Every time I see Scott Ritter all the time, I'm like thinking of John Goodman. Maybe Roseanne should get together with Scott Ritter maybe and do something. I don't know. But she just said, she's like, everyone used to care about rights and everyone used to be bothered about rights. Actually, I'll get it on. Actually, maybe I'll get into that bit.
And their parents. But that left, we cared about freedom of speech. And we cared about, civil rights and bettering yourself with education and moving up. And all of that flipped. And now it's like the left is not, as I always say, the left doesn't seem like your daddy's left anymore. Now it's just a kind of a fascist structure that hates civil rights, hates freedom of speech.
I think it's because they bought everything. They kind of own everything, and everything's theirs now. I mean, they own everything. They own. It's not like Mr. Johnson's shop or Mr. Ronald's shop or Mr. Tewksbury's shop or whatever, and you go in there and you say how you doing, and you're on a personal level. I mean, I was just thinking the other day, this is just one example, right? Say, like, if you've got some things that you could do with getting rid of or selling or something like that, and, you're a bit out of town or something, or you're a bit in a village. When they get all these, corporate service stations and things like that, it's all run on company policy, it's all run on staff, like a McDonald's, I mean, whether they shouldn't be going to those shops anyway, but if that's the only shop that there is. Just an example, I mean, I was thinking, I won't mind. I mean, I know that, they don't want everyone to go in there and, have everybody's things in their shop. But I guess, like, in America, for example, in the 1800s or 1900s, if you lived in a remote place and you went into the store, the general store, I guess, they used to do trades as well. You could barter or trade, or if you had something that you desperately needed to sell to get some money for, you might just put it in the shop, and try to sell it for you and even get credit with him. All this human negotiations. I mean, that's gone now. I mean, when I was in Mexico '86, with that World Cup, when they used to do those Panini sticker books, you could go in and you'd have a box, and you just go have a swap box with the stickers, and you'd swap them, for ones that you wanted or needed to try fill the album up. I mean, there's none of that now. I mean, they might let you take something back if you don't want it. Some places like B&Q let you do that no matter what, or always take it back. But I mean, it's everything's kind of like. It's almost like it's not really a human interaction. It's like everything is made, prepared and ready, as is. It's not really kind of like a two-way thing. It's like, you go in there, you buy our stuff, and then you go back out again. These are our deals, these are our offers. You got to have your loyalty card. All that loyalty to the corporate, accept, submit, consent. It's almost like a court in a way. It is almost kind of like going to court, when now, I mean, even if you've got the correct legal argument or the correct legal law or basis, nope. I mean, I do talk to staff, but even, sometimes I was going to places like when I went to Home Firth, they've got cameras on them actually on the staff and stuff like that. It was kind of really odd. I was just thinking, it would be great if there was kind of like a farm shop, but not these like what they call these. They've got these posh farm shops now where it's all really, really nice stuff, but it's not stuff that's just been grown and then put on the shelves. That's for sure. It's kind of like really excessively. I think that it's They were talking about, Channel 4 was talking about, ultra-processed foods. These foods are kind of like, they're not ultra-processed in the way that the supermarkets do them, but they're not the healthiest foods. I mean, Chris Packham's just done that Golden Pie Award press thing. The farm shops aren't really the model idea of the farm shop. The thing with the farm shops is that it's like they're beautiful buildings, they're beautiful places. When you go in there, it's kind of all made to look rustic, and there's a lot of variety of different things and produce, but they're not necessarily, and the prices are through the roof, quite the opposite of what you'd expect. Like when the farmer sets up something. To be honest, what I'm thinking of now, what I actually, in my head, what I would like to be just near or opposite or somewhere close is actually a place that I used to go past quite a lot out Norfolk way. A lot of people will know this place if they've been out towards Norfolk. It's on the main road when you go out towards Norwich and, Kings Lynn, that kind of way, just south of sort of Sleaford. As you're going out towards Walpole Cross Keys and Kings Lynn and so forth, it's kind of like it's a classic place. It's kind of like it's like there's an A road out there, and it's all like Bury St Edmunds sort of direction, and it's all kind of like fields. There's all fields and crops growing and farmer, but it's all flat. Not like Herefordshire with all the kind of like rolling hills and orchards and stuff like that. Not that kind of like, just flat, but like flat fields, like just loads and loads of fields. And they've got this kind of like, it's like a truck stop. Well, it's not a truck stop, but it's like a truck stop. It always made me think of Terminator 2. In Terminator 2 when like he appears, through the time thing, and then he like stands up and he's got nothing on, and he walks into that bar, and they're all playing pool, and he's like, "I'll have your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle." It's the closest thing that we've kind of got to that out in the sticks, when there's all the motorbikes parked up outside. It's kind of like that, they've got all the trucks there, all the trucks are parked up. I think it's just got Farm Cafe or Farm Shop, but there's one at each side of the road, and it's got like a dirt car. I don't even know if it's probably still there. It's probably still going. And funnily enough, they actually had this kind of like hot dog or sausage, the Boston sausage shop that was further on. And that really was kind of like a posh farm shop, but that had got an outside as well, and they got ice cream there. I don't know how that ended up in there, but the other place, it's kind of like, it's quite long, so it goes on for quite a while, and they've got a pool table too. They've got a pool table and a bar and a cafe in there, but also it's kind of like all the farmers' produce from the area go there. they've got kind of like old farm tractors parked up on some grass as well somewhere, and there's a couple of the decent sized houses out in the countryside. To be honest, it's kind of the place. To be honest, I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would like it, because the houses, the kind of American, like Chris Hedges and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the kind of videos that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. does with his backdrops in his videos, kind of a little bit, I know American, ranchero and all that kind of like, sort of like wealthy American people out in the countryside, but it has kind of got that sort of, it's going along those lines, to be honest, of something probably out of, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but so you've got all your fresh farm things and all your fresh produce, but it's not being modified or touched or processed or even made into a pie or anything like that. It's all kind of like grown and there, and there's all kinds of different stuff. And we need more places like that. You can go in there and waste stuff out, but there are certain things that are just nice to eat and nibble on. Like, I don't know if you ever used to eat, green beans when you were younger, or there's different types of pea pods when you eat the pod part, and it's all fresh, and it just tastes really, really kind of like alive and growing, but nice. I never used to be deterred from that taste of pea pods. There's just something to those tastes that, you could eat them and it tastes like it's living, like it's growing. Edible flowers, all kinds of stuff like that. But I'm not saying that everything had dirt on it or anything like that, or wasn't being cleaned or anything. But it was just, there's just something about those places. And if you're from the area or if you live there, there are sort of places that you can negotiate with, bargain with. I mean, really, those are the sort of places that Bill Gates kind of wants to buy out and shut down, because he kind of wants big juggernauts hovering over there, big hovercrafts just going vroom, 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 just spraying everywhere and, sucking everything up into an automated machine and spitting it out so it can end up in the supermarket in the packaging. But, I actually used to like going strawberry picking when I was little. You get exercise when you go strawberry picking. I can remember with my granddad when we used to go to the seaside and we used to sort of like pull up at the side of the road and, get some corn out of a field, and we used to just get the little kernels out of it and eat the little corn, and I remember it used to taste like dough. Just the experience of it, being outside at that time of year, the peacefulness of being out in the countryside over Lincolnshire as well, I think, these... It's like the court is taking over. When you go to the Court of King's Bench, I've just been looking on the website, because of the Extinction Rebellion rights cases, and it's always like versus the king. But if this BlackRock Vanguard investment company, if the king does own that, if he owns a lot of these companies, if it's by royal appointment, when you're taking on these companies, you're actually taking on the king. It's not like John the Butcher or, Paul the Baker or, the farmer. It's like Charles. He's the king. I mean, how can you beat the king in his own court if you're suing his company? I mean, they let us have our own companies. In a way, if you think about it, like when there was a very, very skilled jeweler or bow maker, it's like the king's like, oh, you can make my bows for me by royal appointment. Now you're service to the king. It's almost kind of like that. I'm almost like the king owns the shoemaker, but then if the shoemaker turns into a machine rather than a shoemaker, it's the king's machine. It's almost kind of like we all only exist to be, in service of this authority and for that purpose, and we're all put to the end. And even all of the leisure now, it's all commercialised and corporate to make money for some other end or mean. The liberty of the whole idea of the liberty of the city is completely gone. I think when you had these liberal groups or whatever was meant to pass as liberal groups or independents that opposed, when you had this, Parliament, we the people were supposed to send representatives to represent us in Parliament to argue against, the king and what he was up to and hold him to account. And I think that, when they had that court party, which was the cabinet and then the opposition, but I think as soon as they started putting our politicians, independents, who were meant to have elected, into Parliament, there's something wrong with that. Maybe there's something wrong with it when, only certain people could vote if they had certain money and lands and so forth. What are we on this planet for? I think the rights were really to negotiate. They always get you doing these things anyway for them. I think that the one big con or trick with the Labour Party that I've seen straight through now is that it was never there for work. It was there to make sure workers worked and just try and get them a little bit of a better deal. But the whole time it's like, you are labourers, you have to work, your party's called Labour because you're labourers, and that's it. It was never to get out of Labour. I'm not saying that people shouldn't work or do hard work, but when it gets to a point where you don't even need humans to work anymore, they don't need rights, because those rights were really to send in arguments and complaints to the king about, what he was taking from us and how he's running things. But when he owns everything, and when he owns the machines that run things, and then he replaces the people that run things, then he doesn't need anyone to argue or barter with him, because he doesn't need us. So, this is the thing. And it's a shame that the worst thing is kind of like people like Sergey Brin, who are just, teenagers geeking out on a computer, but then they have a sniff of this, have a bit of smell of some money. And Mark Zuckerberg, they let them smell the money, they let them smell the cash rolled up, and they make them very, very rich, but very quickly, extremely quickly, just from selling adverts and selling all the crap stuff that we shouldn't be buying in excess. And they become the new viceroys, the new sort of it's literally like on Darth Vader, sat at the table. It's a shame that people buy into that and sell out, and the rest of the people who are dispelled by the illusion or enchanted by the illusion of the ice creams, of the TV shows, of the game shows, and just kind of like a music box in the head with the whole thing, which is like, Jimmy Dore showing some of these women now, who are, going, oh, you don't need to know the truth, what's the point in truth? This is the thing. I mean, those people need to, if they're not bothered about the truth, then why not just replace the whole audience with a load of clapping, Duracell bunnies? Those people that like what? Maybe we should get this up. This is it here. Truth is a distraction. NPR's new CEO. Truth is a distraction.
Hey, I'm not a believer.
Ultimate work mental case. If these people don't care about what the truth is, then why don't they just speak to no one? Why don't they speak to some machine that just claps? There's applause. Pretend applause from an audience. It doesn't matter if there's any real audience or not. That's what I think those people should do to stop harming everyone else and harming society. They should get on a stage, get an audience, and just perform to a lot of Duracell bunnies, or even just a box that makes a clapping noise, at the end, if they're not bothered about truth, then why does it matter if anyone's watching them, So I think that's why they don't care about rights or free speech, because it's all about money. Well, it is about actually the money, the wealth, and they don't want us to unite together and join against them. So now they're making all these ridiculous laws up, so we end up arguing over next to nothing, and then the police getting involved over these ridiculous laws. You can't say what you want in your houses, and they've got these power tools which they really like and enjoy, and what they did is they've given us little mini versions of them, so we're all zapping each other with them, blocking and getting intolerant. I think the reason how you got intolerant is because of these like and dislike. the slightest gratification, they can get rid of something if you don't like it, and only have things that you like. What happens is you just aren't interested in anything that except what you like, and anything else you don't want anything to do with it, which is what these ministers are trying to do with the laws. And we're all intolerant and getting intolerant from each other, and they're just going to put us in the metaverse, really. That's what I think. And it's better if they give us a small little mini-me tool of what they've got over control, because we have a bit of control to block each other, and then we end up not working together and not helping each other. And they've got the bigger, power buttons, which is just the overlord buttons. That's the way they're going on it at the moment. It's not happy, it's not love, it's not sharing, it's not healthy, because they would have never bought everything from us. We would have owned our own land and shared things and give each other things and, talk more and learn more about each other. And they wouldn't have been able to... The problem is that they're going for this mega juggernaut thing, which is like, they're going to have all resources doing this one big chore of whatever it is, space travel thing. And, they either want us, any one of us that's any use has got to take these weird oaths, and by that time, they'll genetically modified us all to intelligence but obedience, or even replaced us. And, even then, what use is it to them to even have, loads of people playing tennis all day, enjoying themselves and not getting in the way of their machines? I don't think a lot of people having a leisure and fun is any use to them, and that's the example of Stonehenge. And they've always tried to poop on the party. They're not harming anyone, get rid of the liberty, drop a police force on it, now dig a tunnel through the floor. The whole symbology of Stonehenge and liberty and freedom. And whenever they use the word liberty, it's always perverted and changed. Look at London now, the liberty of London. There is no liberty. You can't even go anywhere. The model of London and their claim to liberty is complete opposite, So I think it's too late.